Welcome to the 99 Podcast, a ministry of Crossroads Grace Community Church in Manteca, California. I'm Heather Mahoney, and I'm excited that you're joining us for Season 2 of the 99 Podcast. We hope it challenges you and creates a hunger to dive deeper into Scripture so you can know Jesus better. Welcome back to the 99. This week, we're joined by the one, the only, Preston Kulesha.
I don't think I've ever found someone with my name for what it's worth. There's not many Kuleshas, and there's not another Preston Kulesha.
Interesting. I Googled my name one time, and someone who used to be one of the Disney princesses at Disneyland was that. I mean, I don't know a lot about Disney princesses, but it was the person acting like, you know.
Yeah, I think if you Google my name, I shouldn't be saying this, but there's some interviews that I did for my college that pop up if you Google my name. And
I'm 100% Googling your name.
It's so bad. I'm wearing a horrible pink polo.
My
hair is done so terribly. And what I said was scripted by the person giving the interview. It wasn't even like a true interview. It was like, hey, I want you to say all this stuff. And I don't think it's like bad, but it's not my favorite look out on the internet.
Is it hard to find a little tiny Preston license plate at the places that sell the little tiny ones?
I don't think I've ever found one. I've never found that. I'll never find Aussies. Ada, maybe, because like there's a lot of grandmas, I think, named Ada.
Yeah, it's a classic, I think, that's coming back around.
Yeah, so she has hope. Cass has hope. However, I will say, gosh, we are so off track at the jump. I will say I have called Cass, my wife, I've called her Casey for majority of our relationship because we had a boss at the pizza shop we worked at who couldn't say Cassidy, he'd say Casey. So I've called her Casey. So when I buy her personalized stuff, a lot of times I'll get her Casey. So like she has a Yosemite mug that says Casey instead of Cassidy, and it's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Hey, we're about to jump into the topic of gentleness, but before we do, you have something cool going on with some of the high school students on Thursday mornings. Can you just share what you guys have been doing this summer?
Yeah, it has been so much fun. So we go to Chit Chat Cafe in Manteca, owned and operated by a couple of Crossroadians, and they are wonderful. And we have a Bible study in their lobby every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. It is, by the time you're listening to this, it is going to be wrapping up very soon because summer is almost over. But man, it has been so fun. And I think what we realized is, shockingly, all these high schoolers don't have school. If they have jobs, they're usually not starting that early. So like we have time to spend time with each other, dive into the Word, and it's been so good. It's super casual, and the content is based on what we preached on the week before. So from
I love that.
The end of May until the middle of September, we're just doing the book of James in high school. So we're kind of grinding it out. And so every week we just look more into James. What do we do about it? We talk super practically. We get in groups and pray together. And my favorite thing is that cafe is pretty packed. And so we just have a ton of people around us as we're praying for each other and in the Word. Oh my gosh, it's been so good.
Yeah, I love that. It's fun when you guys get back to work on Thursdays after that happens, you and your intern this summer. I don't know. It's just fun to get to hear about it.
Yeah.
Riley. Yep.
We have loved it, and it's something that you can miss out on when you're so focused on running a ministry and like a service every week. And like we love high school Sunday nights. It's so much fun, but it's so easy that it just becomes like the service is the main thing of every week, and it's easy like to miss out on like those connection times throughout the week. And I don't have time to get lunch with 40 to 50 kids every week, but if we all come to this Bible study at the same time, we can talk together and pray together, hear, connect. It's so good. It has been one of my favorite things, trying to figure out how to do it in the school year, but we've got, I think we counted like 12 different high schools represented in our high school group at least. And so trying to figure out where we do it, when we do it. I mean, everyone can come to Oakdale if you want, but that's not super convenient. So we're gonna try and figure something out. But it has been one of my favorite things that we've done in a while.
That's so good. And I'm excited to also get to have a conversation with you today. You had a unique perspective really on biblical gentleness and how God could have ruled versus how he acted. And so often we get to see his gentleness throughout certain biblical texts when sometimes you think of just laying the hammer down. Yeah,
gentleness is something that is really easy to talk about all fluffy like. And we serve a God who is so gentle. And we serve like his son came down and everyone expected the Messiah to be this military victory ruler, right? Like they read all the Old Testament prophets, like, and the daughter of Israel will fall, and the power structures will crumble at the coming of the Lord, and his people will rule. And they all thought it was going to be this big military victory. And Rome was so strong and so powerful that it only made sense, like, only a God can topple this incredibly strong Roman government. So that's what they expected. And instead, they got a carpenter from Nazareth,
Yes.
who was anything but a militaristic warrior, yet he still came and did all the things that he was prophesied to, had all the victories, but it was like in gentleness and in a way that the world completely didn't expect. And I think it's great to see him as that gentle and kind and loving God, and also recognize that in his power, his gentleness doesn't take away from it. And in his righteous anger is not dampened by gentleness. In fact, it's just a part of who he is. And you get the totality of the victory and the gentle, the staff and not the bait. Anyways, you get all of those things with him.
I love that. And just kind of almost like a rainbow of ideas where there's so many sides to who Jesus is and not just one. And it's certainly not militant the way that he leads and the way that he rules. And so you tackled the fruit of the Spirit, gentleness, and the word. I was just looking it up a little bit. The idea is really kind of being teachable, not having a superior attitude, not demanding one's rights. And it isn't timidity or passiveness. And I love a quote that I read by a scholar, William Barclay. He said, "It is the quality of the man who is always angry at the right time and never at the wrong time."
Yo, it's so good. Like, you don't have to never be angry to be gentle. Like, I would say my dad is, I can't say he's always gentle, but he has been gentle even in his anger, like in my life. He's not always perfect at it, obviously. No, I'm not either, but you can have gentleness in anger, and we see Christ. And that was a huge part of this message, was saying, like, there's this story where Christ is obviously mad. There's no way around it. He's angry. How is he gentle during it? How do those things not contradict each other? Because what society will tell you is you're either gentle and timid and passive, or you're strong-willed and you take charge and you let everyone know what you're about. And those things can be intertwined in a really holy way. And like Christ shows us that.
Oh, I love that so much. If you guys have been around Crossroads at all, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, then you might remember that in the spring, we went through the Gospel of John. And so this passage might ring familiar to some of you guys, but Preston, can you read John 8, the story about the woman being caught in adultery? And, I know it shows a lot of Christ's gentleness, but can you kind of set us up for it and who Christ is leading into this as well?
Yeah, so I think what we want to talk about is how there's gentleness in heart and there's gentleness in action. And Christ is both of those things. And we can see it highlighted differently in a couple of different stories in Scripture, one of which is like the overturning of the tables and the cleansing of the temple, both the first and the second time, which we talked about in the sermon. But I want to talk today about how you can be gentle in heart and gentle in action. And we have a couple of stories. And John 8 is the one that really shows like the gentleness of heart. Like you can have a heart that is gentle, that doesn't take away from the other things you're doing. It doesn't take away from what needs to be done, but the gentleness of the heart can like drive how you view people, how you interact with them, and like what flows from your heart. So yeah, John 8 is I think it's one of Brian's favorite sermons to preach too, right? Like that.
I think so. If you ever remember any of the drop the rock and the rocks clinking, this is the sermon that we're referencing.
Oh, and it's so good. It's like the
really
silence. Okay, so John 8, 1-11 says this. Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. At dawn, he appeared again in the temple courts, where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. And the law of Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say?" They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis of accusing him. Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Now go and leave your life of sin." John 8, 1 through 11.
Thank you for reading that. So let's talk about how really this gentleness that Christ displays here regarding the corrections of others and how he's correcting actions, how that plays into the gentleness of heart and then also the gentleness of actions.
Yeah, I think the first thing to note is he is being set up here. This is
Yes,
not
100%.
This is not like a friendly situation. This is not like a cool little theological conversation that the Pharisees want to have with him. He is being trapped and they want to catch him. And so already, like, he should be on guard. His defenses should be up. And I think like that is, at least in my life, that is a place where my gentleness already is at risk. Like, I am not looking to be gentle when I think people are trying to corner me.
Yes.
Yeah, like have you been in situations where like someone is a bad actor, someone is like trying to get a rise out of you or get a reaction out of you or anything like that? Because that's when I am not gentle.
And for me, it's hard to be kind and be gentle when I know someone's 100% not for me. I'm like, you don't even like me. You're trying to bait me. Ugh.
Yeah, it's one thing when like a friend brings something to you or like has a criticism, but when it's someone who you know already isn't a fan of you, I'm not like ready to kill them with kindness or like show them gentleness. And so we need to know like already the guard is up. He recognizes that this is not a great situation for him. And going into that, we see this scene where, and we could probably ramble about all the ramifications of this passage so much. Like this woman is dragged to him. Where's the man? She wasn't the only one caught in adultery. There was definitely a man involved, right? All of these men are committing so many sins by what they're doing, the way they're acting, the bloodlust that they have in this. Like they want to see this woman stoned, or at least want to trap and trick someone like Jesus into speaking falsely.
And they're trying to humiliate. They're on purpose because there was a guy and a girl there that had to make, the adultery happen. And I think we said several podcast episodes ago when Brian was here that you had to actually physically catch them in the act, which means then they chose not to bring the guy. So they were trying to shame the woman and trap Jesus. Like they were not there to be gentle or good.
Do you think the guy was like sitting in the house, like
crazy.
How did I not get taken out of? How did I not get drug out? And this woman, I mean, like I said, caught in the act. She's not clothed. They didn't say, all right, put on some clothes now. No, not at all. So this is like pure humiliation. And Jesus' response is so gentle because in this moment, there is truth. She is in the wrong.
True.
There is truth. She deserves, due to the Mosaic law, she deserves to be stoned. These people aren't wrong. The way they're going about it is wrong. The heart behind it is wrong, right? They're not looking to correct. They're not even looking to cleanse her. They're looking to punish her. And that's very wrong.
Yep.
But she did deserve it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the gentleness that is approached with this is not in Jesus saying, you are not in the wrong. Because in no place here does he say, oh, actually her adultery is fine. It doesn't say that because clearly it's not. What he says is, none of these people are without sin. None of them are right to condemn you. None of them have the right to do what they are doing, the shame, the humiliation, all that type of stuff. He's gentle in his approach to her. And this is like the gentleness of heart in Jesus, which I think is so, we see it in all sorts of stories, but it's so highlighted here because he, in one hand, doesn't condemn her, but he also doesn't like just condone what she's doing. The final verse is, neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin. So gentleness is not this idea of saying like, hey, just let people get away with things. Gentleness is not saying, if people do wrong, whatever, it'll be fine. Be gentle, like smile and pat them on the back. He's being gentle and also rebuking her. You have to leave your life of sin. And that's the gentleness of the heart of Jesus. He is not focused on the punishment. He's not focused on the consequences. His heart is gentle. He loves her. He feels for her. He empathizes with her, and he wants her not to commit adultery anymore, yes, but he wants her not to live a life of sin.
Absolutely. And I think he's showing the same gentleness to all the accusers as well. Because it's like first they see the woman as almost like a object to get to their end goal, which is to accuse Jesus. So they're just using her, right? Because they want to like trap Jesus. But then he places himself between the woman and them, almost as like hey, she's my kid too, and protects her. But then he doesn't hang those guys all out to dry. He ends up telling them, hey, if you're without sin, cast the first stone. So they drop the rocks, which kind of leads to, you had already talked about the last verses there, but I just think the way that he cares for both her and the group, when both of them, like she was doing the wrong thing, they were doing the wrong thing, and he was gentle with both, and he didn't say, well, like she deserves gentleness more than you. He extended it to people no matter where they fell in that situation, and neither of them deserved it. But how much more of an impact did it make than like him cracking a whip, flipping a table, and being like, y'all are the worst.
Yeah, and like I think that the way, if we could like see this, if we could have a replay of it, and I don't know, maybe in heaven we can have like a way back button and go watch this in real time. But have you ever tried to like get your point across in an angry mob? Like you work in middle school. How can you imagine like the middle of a dodgeball game, like going and standing in the middle and saying like, let me tell you guys like a couple of things. Let me teach you guys some things. Like, are you saying it passively, like really kind and like soft voice?
No gentleness at all. You're not leading anyone towards anything.
No, you are. In order to get your voice heard in a room full of screaming middle schoolers or yelling high schoolers, or shoot, even just your house, which is chaotic when your kids are running around and playing, doing all that type of stuff. You're not saying, hey guys, will you guys listen up, please? I have something to say. You are yelling. You are making your presence known. And that's the misunderstanding of gentleness. Gentleness is not flowers in your hair, sweet, soft spokenness. Sometimes it plays itself out that way, but that's not what Jesus does that's gentle here. It's the heart behind what he is doing. He's walking up to this angry mob of dude holding rocks ready to murder a woman.
Yep.
And he is loud. He is yelling. He is making his voice known and heard. Do you think everyone in the crowd like, oh, Jesus is talking, we better stop now? No, they're sitting there, they're yelling. I think of like the crowd yelling for Barabbas, right? Like I think of like that scene. Like there's so much happening that Jesus has to be so loudly and so boldly proclaiming such a gentle message. It's not in just the delivery of it. You can be bold. You can be in charge and like controlling of a room, and yet your heart is still gentle because he cared about the woman and the people and like the totality of their life as opposed to just this immediate moment, right? That's the gentleness of Jesus. It's taking control of them, dropping the rocks, not just like, all right, diffusing the situation. No, this isn't diffusing.
I love the way the Enduring Word commentary puts it. It says, there is still a place for exposing and rebuking and directly dealing with the sins of others in God's family, but it must always be done with a heart that recognizes itself as a forgiven sinner. When done right, confronting sin is done more often with tears and a broken heart than with anger and condemnation.
It's so good. It's so tears and a broken heart than with anger and condemnation. Man, that is exactly what Jesus' gentleness looks like. If it wasn't for the last line of this story, it would not be a godly story if he didn't pair those two things together. I do not condemn you, and also go and leave your life of sin.
Yep.
That's gentleness. It's not loving to someone if it was just, I don't condemn you. Now go back and commit adultery.
It's the constant tension of truth and grace.
Yes. And that's where gentleness like flourishes, is in the truth and the grace. We were talking about it when we were like in the process of writing the sermon and like doing our read through, which we do a couple weeks before the message, of like some of the most directly piercing evaluations of my person and my character and my intentions have been done from people who love me the most and who did it with like gentleness and hands on my shoulder and like tears of saying like, I love you so much that I have to tell you this thing, not to tear you down so that you might be built back up. Whereas someone who's not gentle is just looking to tell you things that are going to tear you down. They're just looking at being abrasive and call you out on your faults and your flaws. And we should call people out on their faults and their flaws, but we should do it with love and with like gentleness and correction and rebuking.
I think my husband Sean is good at doing this when he has to have this maybe harder conversation with someone, but there was a smaller conversation he had with someone recently, and he told me after it was over, somebody thanked him and said, hey, only somebody who like really cared about me would have brought this to me.
Yeah. That's the gentleness of the Lord, right? And it's also, I do think it does matter how we talk to people, like in action. And that's the next story that we're going to talk about too, is like, there is a gentleness in action, but your heart can be gentle, and you can go into things with a gentle heart. And that's why I love that we know that Jesus was like tried to be put in a corner, because that's when most of us put our defenses up. And it didn't make him defensive. It didn't make him like try and fight his way out of a corner. His heart was just as gentle. He was still caring about the people as the priority and not their actions and their sins. And that's what it is for you and for me. I constantly back Jesus into a corner with all the stupid desires of my flesh. And thankfully, he's continuously gentle with me, and his guidance is gentle. And sometimes his rebuking is not, I wouldn't say it's easy. I wouldn't say it's always nice and feels good to be rebuked by the Lord.
No.
But it's always gentle.
Oh, yeah. I can think of probably only one time in my life where someone pulled me aside to talk to me about stuff where I still think you were off base, you don't know me, da-da-da.
Yeah.
All the other times I didn't enjoy how it felt. But when I sat, thought about it, prayed about it, I'm like, there's absolutely truth to what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it takes reflecting, and I don't like hearing bad stuff about myself, but I also appreciate when someone is bold enough to be honest with me, because I also want to grow in my walk. I want to walk closer with the Lord. And it's when you think you're doing great, when you're like, I got this thing down, that it's never good, because I think we've said it in some of the other weeks when we're talking about summer fruit, but it's not just about having one fruit of the Spirit. It's like these are lumped together is the totality of allowing the Spirit to change us, and not just say, well, I got this one characteristic, so forget the rest.
Yeah, I think all of them, like, in one way or another, I believe all of them flow from love. Like, in the totality of Scripture, like you think about the classic wedding verse, right? Love is patient, love is kind. It seeks no. What is it? It seeks no evil. I probably should have pulled it up before
Love
I started.
Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
look at that.
Seeks no wrong.
I haven't done a wedding in a while, I guess. But all of these like flow from love. They're all tied together. And so like they all kind of, they rise and fall with the level of the sea, And so I think what you just said makes me think about like how we're both involved in student ministry. We both see students who have, shocker, flaws, right? Just like we do, just like everyone does.
Just like when I look at myself in the mirror.
Exactly. And I think like the gentleness of the heart comes from how I want to approach a student with something I see in their life. If I see a student is struggling with this thing, or is not great at this thing, or needs developed in this thing, the gentleness of my heart needs to be evaluated before I have that conversation with them. Because if I want to go tell them, hey, by the way, I noticed you suck at this thing, good luck, that is not the gentleness of my heart. But if I sit them down and I say, hey, it seems like you've been struggling with this, can I help you walk through it? Here's some things that like I have done in the past. Here's some ways that we can work together. Here's how I'll be praying for you, how you can be praying. Like it's the gentleness that I approach it with. It's the gentleness of my heart that says, I want you to be better, not I just want to call you out on what you did wrong.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree.
So I think that is the basis of the heart, of the gentleness of the heart. And then you get into the gentleness of action and like what it actually looks like. And that's where we see this triumphal entry that your middle school intern actually had some thoughts about as we were doing like our sermon read through and everything.
Oh yeah, shout out to Maddie. Woo woo.
Maddie Stewart.
Yeah, we were doing the read through, and I know she brought up I think she put this way, that Jesus didn't need to openly display his power and his justice, that he knew that he was ushering in the kingdom of God and all that was to come with it. And so this is referencing Jesus coming into Jerusalem as king, but he presented himself in a gentle way, and he came on a donkey, even though he had every right. He could have come like the Romans. He could have laid the smackdown, but he came in, was it on a colt?
Yeah, on a donkey. So there's this, the triumphal entry is found in a couple of different places. We can read it right now, and then we can talk about the history
Yeah.
behind it.
So this is Luke 19:28-40. After Jesus had said this, he went on ahead, going to Jerusalem. As he approached Bethphage and Bethany at the hill called the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and as you enter it, you will find a colt tied there, which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you untying it?' say, 'The Lord needs it.'" Those who were sent ahead and found it just as he had told them. As they were untying the colt, its owners asked them, "Why are you untying the colt?" They replied, "The Lord needs it." They brought it to Jerusalem, threw their cloaks on the colt, and put Jesus on it. As he went along, people spread their cloaks along the road. When he came near the place where the road goes down the Mount of Olives, the whole crowd of disciples began joyfully to praise God in loud voices for all the miracles they had seen. "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest." Some of the Pharisees were in the crowd and said to Jesus, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples." "I tell you," he said, "if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out."
I love that last line, by the way. The stones will cry out in their place. Oh, so good. So here is what I think is such a cool display of the gentleness of action of Jesus. So he came in from the west side, right? He came in down the Mount of Olives, and he came through the Golden Gate. And it was a gate that went directly like into the temple. The temple was massive, by the way. In all of Jerusalem, the temple took anywhere up between a sixth and a quarter of the entire square footage of the city of Jerusalem. It was massive. And so he comes in at a gate that goes straight into the temple. Every year, Rome would, at the time of Passover, they would do this military display of power. Because in Passover, the city of Jerusalem was about 50,000 people. And during the Passover celebration, the population would balloon to like 150 to 250,000 people. Mm-hmm. It would like quadruple or whatever, 5 times, whatever that word is. It would do that every year. And they were there to celebrate the Passover and, the Passover celebration and being freed from Egypt and how great their God is. And Rome every year said, "That's really cute that you celebrate when you broke free from Egypt." However, that was Egypt and we're Rome. And so from the other side of the city, away from the temple, they would bring in like thousands of guards, like full-on chariots, horses, full armored soldiers, and they would march through the streets in this show of military power that said, "We love that you guys love your little holiday. You will never overthrow us." It was this absolute reminder. And Rome viewed their own, their rulers as gods. And so they're like, "Yeah, good luck with your God. Here's ours. We'll show you our power." So that was happening during this Passover celebration on the opposite side of the city. Military, loud, huge forces.
Okay.
And on the complete other side of the city, at the exact same time, was Jesus coming in on an unridden donkey with no military, no people, no power, just a donkey and palm branches and people shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David." It was so opposite. It was as far removed from the show of power that Rome was doing. And yet, who held all the power? Who was the one who held every bit of power in the entire universe at that point? Was it Rome and their thousands of soldiers? No, it was this freaking carpenter on a donkey, right?
Yeah.
And his gentleness in action was letting it be known for in the moment, and then for the rest of history, that Jesus' power doesn't come from loudness, from brashness, from these ornate displays. It comes from his person, who he is, the truth of him. He is the Son of God. He is the Messiah, the one who was sent to save. He is the ruler of everything. That is who he is, regardless of how he's seen. And I think that is such a great example of how we have to see gentleness in our actions. It's scary to be seen as gentle sometimes in these militaristic situations we find ourselves in, whether it's the corporate ladder, whether it's the family dynamic, or even just relationships as a whole. There is this idea that we need to be seen as strong and powerful and nothing gets by us or around us and we're in control all the time. And those are not bad qualities to have, but we also shouldn't be afraid of our actions showing that we are gentle. You can be all powerful. You can be the strongest guy in the room. It doesn't mean you have to arm wrestle everyone. You can be, the best basketball player in the world. It doesn't mean you have to 1v1 every person that you run into in the middle of the street. Gentleness in action is saying like, hey, the things that I do can be gentle and soft and kind and loving and quiet, even if I do hold all of this power. And like, you don't need all of the ego that comes with it. You know what I mean?
Yep. You're reminding me of, it's probably been 20 years, but in San Francisco, if you've ever ridden the cable cars, like where they start, where they do the turnaround, which is kind of like, BART, it's where also all of the protests and like picketing in the past have happened. So like 20 years ago I was there and some sort of protest was happening. We were just visiting San Francisco, but it's like we came out, from the underground station. You're up, I think it's the station, Powell Avenue, that's where it is. And there, the protest was happening. You look over and then there was, I assume, a husband, a wife, and a kid. They had on like matching tie-dye. They had a microphone, signs of what your sin was, which they're not wrong. All the things listed on there were sins. And the speaker was facing everybody walking in a protest. And they were just screaming. They were just screaming at him that they needed Jesus. And in my mind, I thought, one, this is embarrassing. Please don't tell people you love Jesus. Two, you're not actually wrong. Like those things that you're saying are biblical sins. But I just kept thinking like, if you would have worked to just build a relationship with one of those people and invite them for a cup of coffee and have a conversation or engage, somehow connect with them and have a meal with them, your heart posture is going to make all the difference in the world. So your actions are showing hate, but really you're like, what's behind that? They wanted people to know Jesus.
Yeah.
But they were going about it in a way that wasn't gentle. It was so brash and so harsh. And all I think it did was turn people more away from Jesus when their goal was people to know Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus never pulled punches on sin. He never ignored sins that people were doing. He's very clear about calling them out. And that family, they were right. The people were sinners. Mm-hmm. They were missing the gentleness of Jesus that says, you're a sinner, but I love you still. You're a sinner, but I want to do life with you. I think of the story of Zacchaeus. Hey, Zacchaeus, you are absolutely a sinner. You are morally the bottom of the totem pole in this here city.
Yes.
Let me come have dinner at your house. And the Pharisees and Sadducees, they're like, what is your rabbi doing? They ask the disciples, like, why is he eating with the tax collectors and the prostitutes? And Jesus like, because he loves them, because he's gentle with them. And in that conversation, at the end of that dinner, what happens? Zacchaeus goes and he repents and he gives back all that he has. I don't know the conversation that was had, but I don't think Jesus was like not talking about the sins. I'm pretty sure he was pretty direct about the things that he was doing that was wrong.
Agreed.
But it was done with gentleness and it was done over a table and it was done in love. Like Jesus made it known, like, I love you and I want to like share this time with you. And because of that, I want to tell you about your sins and I want to tell you about the wrong that you're doing. Your actions can have gentleness even in the midst of like hard conversations and hard call-outs. When it talks about church discipline, Paul is so clear. We need to rebuke those in the church, but we do it gently so that they might come to love Jesus, so they might fully come to know him and like be a part of the church again. Like what we do is in gentleness. Right? It has to be done with the love of people, not just like this punishment that we're seeking and not this display of power. We don't tell people that they're wrong because we want to show we're better than them. We, in gentleness and in love, we tell them, hey, here's how we can here's what we need to do. Here's what you need to do to change. And here's how I need to change myself.
Yeah. You're reminding me of, I think it's in Romans 2, the kindness, some say the goodness of the Lord leads to repentance.
Yeah.
So it's like the idea of screaming at someone, you need Jesus, Yeah. You're cutting off that connection and that gentleness. It doesn't change the fact that they need Jesus, but the way we approach people and treat other people and ourselves included actually really matters and is a big deal.
Yeah, and I think it all boils down to the definition of gentleness and the way we see it played out all throughout Scripture is that gentleness is not apathy. Gentleness is not turning a blind eye. It's not turning off your emotions. You are emotionally driven. What gentleness does is it pulls it back and it says, don't let your rage, don't let your jealousy, don't let your, even like your passion, don't let that like absolutely drive everything you do to the ninth degree. Let gentleness pull you back. Remember what's important. Remember what the goal is and what you're focusing on. And gentleness helps us ease into things, ease into relationships, ease into conversations, ease into rebuking, and ease into praising too, right? Like that is what gentleness is about. I was reading about the difference between gentleness and self-control, which is next week. And what the example that I saw was that self-control is like muzzling a dog. It's a dog that needs to be muzzled because otherwise he's going to bark and he's going to bite and he's going to do all type of stuff. A muzzle keeps a dog from interacting with people around him. While gentleness is like putting your dog on a leash. It's not muzzling. He can still interact. He can still bark and lick and play and all type of stuff, but the leash holds it back a little bit from the totality of his brash desires to chase after the car or to go get that mailman or whatever it looks like. I feel like dogs love tackling my 2-year-old and just licking him all over. But gentleness is like that leash that pulls us back a little bit and says, hey, remember what we're about. Remember what you're for. And so when it comes like to pure application, when we like interact with our kids, no matter how frustrated we are or how angry we are, gentleness pulls back our anger. We can still be mad. We can still correct them and rebuke them, but we do it in gentleness, not in rage. When we have arguments with people at work or our spouse, we can talk about what is wrong or what is not correct or what happened, but we can do it with gentleness and with love as the priority, not with whatever it is that's on our mind immediately, like taking over and clouding.
Man, that is so good. I think that's a great place for us to end. Thank you so much, Preston. To the listeners, we appreciate you. Thanks for listening. We've got show notes below, so if you have questions about any verses or some of the directions we headed, make sure to check out below. And then, Preston, next week, you are wrapping up summer fruit, the fruits of the Spirit. You already told us, but it is on self-control.
Whoop, whoop. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about self-control, and we're also going to just kind of wrap up the fruit of the Spirit and how we can be good trees. So if you've ever wanted to be a good tree, if that was your role in a play when you were younger, we're going to teach you how to be a good tree.
All right. I actually was a tree once
No way.
in high school in a play. Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us this week. Always great to hear from you. Looking forward to next week.
Tag, you're it.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you next weekend at Crossroads on campus or online for one of our 4 weekend services. To view our service times, make sure you check out our website at crossroadsgrace.org. Tag, you're it.